Bonjour tout le monde, comment allez-vous? Aujourd'hui, je vais vous parler du verbe être, Today, I'm going to be talking to you guys about the verb être, which is French for to be. So, what does être mean anyway? We might see it in I am, you are, he is, she is, but we don't ever say je être or anything like that. I to be, right? Because this is what we call the infinitive of the verb. And what an infinitive verb means is just that it's not conjugated. What does conjugated mean? Well, let me ask you this. To be. Do you say I to be, or do you say I am? Do you say he to be, or he is? It's all coming from the same verb, right? But for every pronoun we have, for every subject we have, the verb changes. And that's what conjugation is. Just changing the form of the verb based on the pronoun. So, allons-y, let's go. En français, in French, there are 6 groups, or technically 8 pronouns that are used based on the subject. We have je, which is like I in English. Tu, which is like you. Il, he, elle, she. Nous, we. Vous, you, plural, so if I'm talking to multiple people, or vous can serve as formal. So if I'm talking to mon patron, my boss, I would use vous, I would not use tu, because it would be impolite. And then we have il and elle. Listen to me say that again, il and elle. There is that S, but we don't pronounce it. So it's not ils, it's il. So what's the difference between these two? Il and elle. They both mean they, but we have the masculine form and the feminine form. And something to take note of when you're speaking French is that when you're referring to a group of people and there are 5 women and 1 man, no matter what, you will use the masculine form. Elle, feminine of they, is only used to refer to they if everyone in that group is female. And that's just how the language works. By default, if there's even just 1 man in a group, we use il. So, you see right here, I have the verb. So what je suis, we would say suis is the conjugation of être for je. So what does that mean? Remember, like I said in the introduction, I am, you are, he is, she is. So this is all the same verb. They all mean the same thing, right? But just depending on the subject, the form will change. So just like this would be I am, you are, he is, she is, we are, it works the same in French. So listen to me go through these. Listen to how I pronounce them. See how many S's you hear too. Je suis. Je suis. Tu es. Tu es. Il. First one, il est. Il est. Elle est. Elle est. Nous sommes. Nous sommes. Remember that means we are. Nous sommes. Vous êtes. Vous êtes. Ils sont. Ils sont. Elles sont. There's a couple things that I want to point out while I'm doing this. The first one is, notice here we have vous êtes. I always say that the rule is phonetics-wise in French that we don't pronounce that last S in words, but here we do. Why do we do that? Because it's a liaison, right? Because that's a vowel right there. So we know that S at the end is going to be pronounced when there's that vowel to start the next word. So vous êtes. But it doesn't really sound like an S, right? Remember to think of liaison with S more like a Z sound en français. Vous êtes. Vous êtes. Voilà. As well as that, pay attention, il and il, elle and elle. They sounded the same, right? How do we tell the difference? How do we distinguish between them when we can't see it written down, when we're just hearing it? What we have to do is pay attention to the conjugated verb. So listen to the difference between il est français, il est français, ils sont français, ils sont français. The first one, il est français, means he is French. The second one, ils sont français, means they are French. The first part's the same, right? Il. It sounds the same. So what we're really paying attention for is the a or the sont. The third thing that I'm going to get to, and we're going to see how that connects to adjectives in a minute, is why did I put these in two groups? Think about that for a second. Look at these first three and these second three. What do you notice about them? These are singular, singulier, and these are plural, pluriel. What does that mean? These just have one subject, only one I, only one you, only one he, only one she. When we're using nous, we, that's more than one person that we're talking about. Vous êtes, generally, most of the time, vous êtes, we're referring to multiple people. And the same with this, they, multiple people. The thing I want to go over in this être video is how adjectives and pronouns interact. So we have three things down here. We have grand, we have grande, and we have the letter S, which in French, written down, signifies the plural, right? So, say for example, I want to say je suis grand. I wouldn't say that because I'm female, I identify as female, but someone could say je suis grand, right? Je suis grand, or tu es grand, or il or elle est grand. Or, if they're female, you could say elle est grande, tu es grande, je suis grande. Mais attention, I think I just heard myself make a mistake. Il est grand is the only option. We couldn't say il est grand because then the subject and the adjective wouldn't be in accordance with one another. Does that make sense? So il est grand, elle est grande. But for je and tu, you can have either one, and it depends on the gender of the subject. So why do I have this S here? So you see up here, for these first three, this first group I made, under adjective, it says add gender. What does that mean? It just means for the adjectives that we have, we're going to change them based on the gender of the pronoun. So that's all we might change about the adjective. Just go from grand to grande. That's all that changes. But down here, attention, you still add gender, right? But you also add plural. Does that make sense? So for example, if I wanted to say to a class, nous sommes grands. We are tall. Nous sommes grands. I would say nous sommes grands, and I'd add an S to the end of that word. Nous sommes grands. Nous sommes grands. Does that make sense? For all of these, it's the same. If I was talking to, say, a group of all women, to tell them that they were all grandes, I would do the same thing. I would have make sure I account for the gender to make sure that's matching up. Vous êtes grande. And then I would add that S for that plural there too. And that's how it works for all of these. That S is added. But attention, the way that the plural ends depends on the adjective. So for this example, the plural is signified by the letter S. But that won't necessarily always be true for all adjectives. But for a lot of the ones that we'll be learning in French class, that is how they will go. But don't worry, we'll get to adjectives next week. Merci et au revoir.